So first going to open it up with public comment. Members of the public may raise issues or concerns not listed on the regular agenda during this time. To participate, please sign in before the meeting begins. Speakers will be called in the order they signed in. When speaking, citizens must speak from the podium. Begin by stating their name and address or single-member district number, and please limit your remarks to 3 minutes or less. Do we have any public comment?
Not for this section, no.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Start on the regular agenda. Comments regarding items on the regular agenda may be made by the public when each item is discussed as outlined above. To participate, please sign in prior. Like I just said, comments are limited the same for 3 minutes. Applicants, proponents, and appellants are exempt from the time limit above and instead must limit their remarks to less than 5 minutes. Item A, consider approving the board minutes from last month. Does anyone have any issues? And if not, can I hear a motion?
I'll motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mason and a second by Terry. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes 6-0. Item number 2, ZBA 26-01, address 3942 Inglewood Drive, a request for approval of a variance from section 501A for a 4-foot rear setback in lieu of the required 20 feet and a 2-foot side setback in lieu of the required 5 feet for a new accessory structure in the 2-family residential RS2 zoning district.
Thank you, Austin Reese, Senior Planner. This request comes to you from the Sunset neighborhood. It is District Number 6, Mary Coffey's district. The zoning here is 2-family residential RS2. The vision plan says it's this neighborhood, and the property is a little over 0.2 acres. What we have, as you mentioned, is a request for approval of a 4-foot rear setback in lieu of that required 20 feet and a 2-foot side setback in lieu of the required 5 feet. So we did send out 20 notices on this as we were required to. As far as I'm aware, we did not receive any responses. So on to our analysis. What they're doing is putting an accessory structure in their rear yard. This accessory structure will measure about 24 feet by 24 feet. The home, of course, is existing, and the lot measures around 9,500 square feet total. Just a little note about how our zoning ordinance works when it comes to side setbacks and accessory structures. When an accessory structure sits closer than 10 feet to the main residence, we consider it attached, and it has to follow the same setbacks as the home. On the concept plan they provided us and why they need the variance, the accessory structure is only shown at 5 feet away from the house, so it has to follow those setbacks. If the accessory structure has 10 feet of separation from the home, it can be within a couple feet of the side and rear property lines with no variance necessary. They may still need to fire rate the structure, but under the zoning ordinance, it can be 2 feet away. We do think the property is of sufficient size and the surrounding properties mostly abide with the zoning regulations, so really we weren't able to find any special circumstances in this case. I have included here the concept plan, just showing you what the structure is going to look like in their backyard, and you can see those setbacks.
Is the rear yard 10 foot?
I believe so, yeah. So the best way to come into compliance, or the easiest, would be to maintain that 10 feet separation. You could make that portion of the structure open in nature, or you could just take it off the building. There may be some ways to get creative there. Right, for instance, the 10-foot separation would be met.
Do we know if this workshop is being used for a garage or?
Not sure what the exact use of it is, no. I think the applicant may be here. He may be able to speak better to that. With that, we're recommending denial. Did you guys have any questions?
Can you go back to the previous slide? Is there a reason it's at an angle if it were
No, I
feet
think
up against the fence?
that's probably just matching up with the fence line, I would think. He may have just determined that's the best way to fit it back there.
So if it were 10 foot off, the 4 foot offset and the 2 foot offset would be fine, right?
Correct, they would not need a variance at that point.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Austin.
Thank you all.
Anyone have any more questions for Austin? We're going to open it up to public comment. Is there anyone that's signed up to speak?
Ramon, I think if you want to come up.
Hello,
My name is Ramon. I am the owner of this property, and basically I was just trying to put in a 24 by 24 workshop. You asked about why it's positioned that way or angled. One, to follow the fence line. My property is not your traditional rectangular square, you know. We've tried, and we've had many different people come out, and I even have a little diagram we can play with where you can kind of reposition that square any which way, and you just come into different issues. So this is the closest. So what I was attempting to do was stay out of the 10-foot from the house, which is that red arc, and that would allow me to get 2 foot over to my neighbor. Technically, I could get closer to the rear fence line where it says 4 foot. That's actually an alleyway. But what I have back there is a power line. So I contacted AEP. I had Kai Kaufman come out, take a look at it, and he said if I could get to that 4 foot line, that would satisfy AEP. So that made me push it into that red line. I'm just trying to satisfy everybody, satisfy the city, satisfy AEP. I've been working on this off and on for about 10 years. You know, just trying to be in compliance with everything. So many phone calls made, contradicting information from within the city planning, from the fire part of the city. I had recently my back patio extended and closed, and I actually had the inspector, I said, let me show you what I'm trying to do. He told me this is how I could do it, but then it turns out that's not correct. I visited with other inspectors. So what I really wanted to do was stay outside of that 10 foot and just request for that variance to come in those, 4.5, 5 feet inside of the 10 foot, to stay unattached to the house. Okay, so that's what originally I was requesting, but I was told, no, you be attached to the house and you request the other variance. So I'm just trying to figure out a way where I can build this shop. If my property wasn't at an odd shape, it would not be an issue, so to speak. So I'm just trying to satisfy the city, satisfy AEP, and, if I got to do a 1 hour fire break between me and my neighbor, I'm fine with that. I'm just trying to get this thing to work.
Okay, we appreciate your response.
So Ramon, I've got a question. Is this a pre-built, or do you have the ability to make it 27 by 27, 18 by 18, or is this a prefabricated structure?
This would be, they'll come out and build on site.
Okay.
Okay, and they can do different sizes.
Sure.
And I've got some schematics where I could be outside. Obviously, you can go tiny, you can go as small as you want. But, if you're going to shoot for the stars, you shoot for the stars. I'd love to have a 24 by 24 shot,
Well, you shoot for the stars, you may land on the moon, still out of this world.
So that's why I'm like, well, and I sat and talked to my wife, and I'm like, you know what, if, otherwise I think I'm at an 18 by, well, let me go here, because I've got a few, okay, that 25 by 24 gives me 576 square foot. There's some other sizes, 18 by 24, depending which way you manipulate it in there, that will keep me outside. I'm down to 436 square foot. So my wife and I sat down and discussed, and she's like, well, if you really want the 24 by 24, let's try it, So it means that much that we're willing to come in here, pay the money, visit in front of you guys, and maybe make fools of ourselves, but that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
The left side of that structure where the red arc is, that goes back to the 4 foot,
Yes.
how long is that from the red arc to that corner? Is that like 20 foot?
Say that again.
Where the red arc crosses the left side of that structure, right there.
Uh-huh, yes.
How long is this from that red arc to the corner down here? Is that like 20 feet? Is that
Let me do this
21 foot?
because,
Because if the corner of the building were there, we wouldn't be having this discussion, right?
Well, I don't think so, because then it's gonna have to need a variance for the other side, because even if he moved it over and did it flat against it, it would still be within 10 feet.
Well, no, I'm talking about taking the wall closest to the house. If it's scooched back to where the corner touched that red arc, it would be outside of 10 feet, and the 2 foot and the 4 foot would be fine, right?
You mean just the corner of it?
That whole wall, just scooch it in. The top wall, yeah, that one. If it came in and ran from that red arc that way. See what I'm saying?
So
Am I
you're
making
saying-
any sense at all?
Make it more narrow, make the building more narrow instead of 24 foot wide, make it, depending on what size it is.
But aren't you basing the corner of the building to the structure?
Correct.
I'm
So-
saying if that wall went here,
Oh.
if this was shortened to there, then it'd be outside the 10 foot,
correct,
and the 2 foot would work, and the 4 foot would work,
correct.
right? So my question is, how long is that wall? Is that like 20 feet? Because the theory is the whole thing's 24, right?
Correct. That's a 24 by 24 square.
So is that 4 foot? Because if you move that line to here, it'd be outside the 10 foot, and the variance would work. and it would
Right,
matter.
so if I did, I
It'd be
could do
24
it.
by 20?
Yeah,
It would be 19 by 24, but that's what he was saying, is he'll lose so much square.
yeah,
feet.
so if I do that, I lose 176
Right, I know.
square foot, okay. So,
Why don't you just offset here, come over to the back and leave that alone, or do the offset back here and pull it back? Just do a little offset right there.
Say that again?
Or leave this open with the covered patio, covered porch, they wouldn't be allowed to put posts down, right? It'd have to be cantilevered,
It has so many
Maybe.
overhang.
have to be
We're
cantilevered.
wandering into the weeds here, sorry.
Just draw, you haven't drawn it yet, just do that, just get rid of that.
well, so now you're getting into custom
You get into
build.
compliance.
That'd make it more expensive though, wouldn't it? I mean, if you had to-
So now you're getting into a very custom building,
No.
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
No, you're not. What you're gonna get is you're just gonna lose this area here.
So,
Instead of moving it all the way over here. Or you can do the offset back here and pull it back some more.
right, I've gone through, and I've got, we can kind of play with different sizes and move them around. What you're discussing there is like, you'll have a fifth wall, so to speak, because
Right.
you'll cut that off. Everybody that builds shops and buildings and the lesser expensive one, they'll come out and put them up for you, and they're squares and rectangles. Once you start putting that fifth angle in,
yeah.
it
It's 90
really,
degrees, it's not angles, it's 90 degrees.
I understand, but you're getting away from your common angles. You're getting the really custom work.
Compliance.
I understand that, I understand that. If it was close to the cost of a normal shop, I'd already be there. I wouldn't be wasting your time. This you get into custom metal shop builders. You're not going to get, so I'm talking to Triple Crown that's out there past Sam's on the right, they got all those buildings. Okay, and there's other shops, places like that, they put up carports and stuff. Pretty commonplace, but once you get outside of that and go to what he's referring to, you're getting into a custom build. And I know it sounds simple, but it really ups your cost tremendously,
So on your drawing, where exactly is your telephone post?
Okay, so see that 4-foot line across the bottom, that's the back
sir.
alleyway? About 18 inches behind that into the alley is where, you see where
Is it over close to that little alcove area where it makes a corner?
do you see right there where it says alley in the arrow?
Yes.
Okay, just to the right of that, but it comes into the alley about 18 inches and it goes all the way across the back of the property.
And Mr. Ramon, that's an overhead electrical easement?
Correct. It's
Okay.
overhead.
That's
It's
why
overhead.
they're probably not understanding. It's an overhead
It's
electrical
overhead.
easement. So that's where the height of the building starts becoming,
Right.
as he scoots it back, it gets a little too close to the overhead
Yeah.
electrical
Okay.
easement.
Because if we go to that other diagram, I was told since that's an alleyway, I could have pushed the building all the way to the alley. And I would have been perfect.
Sure.
But then I was like, ooh, those overhead, I'm trying to get ahead of things, okay? So I said, you know what, these power lines could be an issue, and sure enough, it would be. That's why I brought AEP out. Some guys came out, same thing, oh, just twist it this way, just twist that, and I'm telling you, this is all I can come up with. That gentleman said, hey, if you'll come 4 foot off, that's why he got 4 foot there, he says, AEP would be fine with that. So I'm just hitting different angles, trying to put in this size workshop. I get it. I can go smaller. I can go 20 by 20. I can go 18 by 24, either long 18 by 24 or a short 18, 24 wide. And I can get outside of that red zone. But like I said, my understanding is when it comes to an oddball shape of property, then you have a chance, no guarantee, but a chance of getting a variance. That's why we're here.
So does the back of it, does that have to be 4 foot?
No, no,
From
so
that-
that,
Because that's the fence line, right?
But he has to have it
That's the
off 4
fence.
feet off because of AEP.
so that fence was put in there when I bought the house. It used to be when you picked up trash in the back, that's where they put the trash bins. But technically,
Does it actually?
that, correct. Technically, that runs all the way.
So could you move the fence and scooch the building back?
Well, if you start scooching it, you fall inside the 4 foot. Like if you start sliding that building.
That puts you too close to the AEP problem?
Correct. Yeah, that's what I'm fighting there. So that's what fights me on the back property line, because like I said, speaking to some people with the city in the planning, they said if it wasn't, that I could go all the way to the fence line with the property because it's an alley back there. You know, and I'd be great, but I'm fighting, you know, I gotta stay in compliance with AEP.
Okay, does anybody else have any more questions? All right, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Is there any more public comment?
Rocky, did you want to speak, Rocky? Okay. No more public comment. I'll apologize. There is one more slide I forgot to
Oh,
present.
okay.
This is just for your reference. It's just the 3 criteria. You have to find one or more of them true when granting a variance against staff's recommendation.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
The board in granting a variance needs to find one or more of these criteria true.
Meaning,
They're echoing.
Meaning if the board goes against the city's staff's recommendation, they would choose one or more of these as the reasoning of part of their decision.
gotcha. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
When do we find out about a decision on?
You'll find out right now.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Is there any more public comment? Okay, I'm going to close public comment, and the board can discuss their thoughts or questions or motions.
Right now, there is no workshop, and, I mean, to have your cake and eat it too, I would move to deny for a smaller structure. But that we can discuss.
So number 1, the special circumstances, says a variance may be granted where special circumstances exist on the property related to the size, shape, area, topography, surrounding conditions, or location, which this property has all of that. It is not your standard size. It is shaped in different ways, plus the overhead lines in the back are an unnecessary hardship. Yes, we need the electricity, but in this circumstance, to build that garage, it is an unnecessary hardship, in my opinion.
It is a 9,500 square foot lot, which our standard RS1 lots are 5,000 square feet.
Okay?
So it's nearly double the size of a normal lot.
But the shape of it, related to the size shape, so that's what I'm referring to on this.
Right.
On this.
I agree.
Right.
That there are maybe some elements that may apply there. It's just that it has a very large house as well.
Right.
And so it limits the amount of space to place an accessory structure.
Correct.
If it were considered attached, the square footage of the house and the square footage of the workshop would count towards that percentage limit against the size of the lot, correct?
That is correct.
Do we know where it would sit if that workshop were built?
That's a good question. Let me see if our staff knows that. Austin, if they were to build the 24 by 24 and it was attached, I mean, now which is what we're essentially saying, does it reach the floor area ratio if it was attached?
I don't
For
think
that
they came
lot.
close to the floor area ratio
Okay.
threshold.
So they'd be below it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
that
mean,
would, okay.
There is quite a bit of front yard there on the right side, and even backyard on the right side. It's just, as Mr. Ramon says, those overhead lines are prohibiting it from going all the way to the back. I agree that it is a trapezoid shape.
Yeah, it's a weird
And
shape.
so fitting something that large, choosing to fit something that large there is challenging. And that's the question is, do they fit the same as everyone else that would have to fit something that large on their property? Are they following the same rules?
Well, looking at the property next door to it, they would have the same issue based on the size of, and the shape of the lot.
So if it weren't for the
Behind
AEP
it,
lines, he
same
could scooch
issue.
it back and we'd be fine.
Well, I would just add that another part of the criteria is the special circumstances are not the result of the actions of the applicant. The applicant is the one building this building that doesn't currently exist and making it those dimensions where it doesn't fit with the unique nature of his property.
But the
So he
hardship
could
would also
design
come
it in
into
a
play
way where it
about
would
the-
not
Would
do
the
that.
hardship not come into play because of the power lines?
I think that's a consideration, but the other consideration is also whether he's causing the circumstance, and I would argue that he is by building the property. Right, yeah.
10 by 10 you can do without a permit.
Yeah, because you could scooch it back. and it
If
would
he
be
was,
more
if
than
he
10
would
feet off
build
the
anything
building,
that
it wouldn't
wasn't
matter.
within 5 feet of the structure,
Right. it's
then
a-
he's fine.
That's right.
But, so 18 by 24
Will suffice.
as well, but we're also
'cause that would
taking,
move it outside that red arc and,
or 19 by 24, is the
Right.
builder over here.
I was going to say 20, and then I'd give that variance.
And a 19 by 24 workshop is better than no workshop.
well, and
To
you know,
some.
where that arc is, it might, you know, you could do probably a 20 by 24, which is standard, so it wouldn't be that much more expensive for a metal building. You get weird, you know, you get weird distances, it gets more expensive. But
I don't know, I see both sides, but I mean,
So you're saying that if there is a roof that connects the house and that building together, that it is doable? That would be connected,
it's treated as connected.
Right,
and
and
that would be okay?
no, because it,
that's why we're here today.
That's what's
that's
causing the
what they're
problem.
saying, that it will
Oh.
be treated as it because there's 5 feet.
Yeah, under the zoning ordinance, it has to be 10 feet away to be a secondary or accessory structure. Otherwise, it's looked at as a primary structure as part of the house and must meet the side yard setback and the rear yard setback.
I misunderstood what you were saying.
And if we have the accessory structure more than 10 feet, then it's able to push against those property boundaries.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll revisit my motion to deny in favor of a smaller, more acceptable structure.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Mason and a second. Do, any more? Oh. I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
So 3 of us are opposed and 3 are in favor?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so to pass a variance, you have to have all six, so,
So it's
yeah, it
denied.
fails, yeah.
Do what? Do I need to do another motion? So do we want to revisit another motion?
Sure, I make a motion to accept. To accept the variance,
To approve? the
approve
variance?
it, accept it, and go forward.
I have a motion to approve by Terry, a second by Richard. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That's 3-3 again, right?
You're supposed to vote a different way.
Sorry. No matter what side of the building I'm standing on, it doesn't look right.
So what happens now?
All right, I think you move on to the next case, it's denied.
So because we can't come to an agreement, it's now been denied?
I mean, if you think you can get to the point of having six and you want to, I mean, if there's other deliberation or other information you want to consider, I mean, you can take another motion.
So on these votes, Brandon, we have to have six to agree, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, it could- it
Yeah,
could be
six
like
to
6.
authorize a variance.
It could be 6-1 if we had 7 here.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, that's right.
Do we want to keep talking about it? Or do we want to move on?
Move
You're
on.
not changing minds, okay. We'll move on to the next case. ZBA 26-02, 1216 Paseo de Vaca, a request for approval of a variance from section 501A for a 10-foot rear setback in lieu of the required 20 feet for an addition onto the existing garage and house within the single-family residential zoning district of RS1.
Good afternoon, Ray Lineberry, lead planner, and this is off of Paseo de Vaca, and it is in the Santa Rita neighborhood, District 5, Karen Hesse Smith. It is RS1 zoning with the neighborhood vision plan. It is 0.344 acres, and the request is for a 10-foot rear yard setback in lieu of the required 20-foot. We did mail out notices, 15, and I actually have one in favor at my desk, or over there. It is 1227, so across the street. This is the floor plan. They are adding the sunroom, which is attached to the house, so therefore it does not have the 10-foot separation and would require a 20-foot setback. They are adding on to this garage, this existing garage. That's what the green is right here, which the garage, again, is within 10 foot of the house, which that's what that shows. So it would also require a 20-foot setback. So they are requesting a 10-foot setback. Adding the 301 feet onto the garage for a pool house and adding the 363 feet onto the existing home for the sunroom. The home is existing. The lot does measure 15,000 square feet, which again is quite large for an RS1, which is normally 5,000 square feet. The accessory structures are adding on to the main house. There is no 10-foot of separation, so they are required to follow the 20-foot rear yard setback. So there is no special circumstance that staff could find. So with that, staff is recommending denial.
How far is the front setback? How far does the house sit back from the front? What's front setback?
A ways. That's a very good question.
I think it's 25 feet.
Well, 25 feet's minimum.
I'd say if memory
It's-
serves, it was like 32.
It's got a circle driveway.
So they pushed the house back to line up with the other houses and didn't leave them a lot of backyard, not a lot of big front yard, not.
Correct.
Yes,
When
sir.
was-
It looks like on our maps, it's approximately 40 feet back from their property line.
Okay.
Then you have probably another 10 to 12 feet of right-of-way before the street.
About 52 feet.
So a lot of front yard, not a lot of backyard.
Yeah, when was the house built?
24, I
I was
thought.
gonna say, I wanna say,
Was it 50?
1950?
The yellow part, is that that's the second story on top of the existing garage?
Correct, they are adding more onto the garage, they're adding a second floor, but that one is within,
That's already there.
well, they're adding it on, it's gonna be new, but it's within the 20 feet.
But it's already existing. There's a.
'Cause that yellow part, that's the back of the existing
already,
garage,
they're
yes.
just adding additionally on top of it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, the red line is the 20-foot.
Okay.
And the home was built in 1950.
And they're adding the pool as well?
No, I believe the
pool
pool
already
already
Put it in the
exists.
tax rolls as 1950, they were, most of these were built.
Nope, they are adding the pool.
Probably later
Okay.
than that.
Before then? Tell me.
I went by and looked at the property, but I didn't climb the fence and walk around the backyard, so.
And the pool does not count as a structure that would have to be out of the 20-foot rear setback. Just the other structures are the ones that would have to be out of the 20-foot rear setback. And even though I'm gonna call it a second-story addition, that would be an extension of a non-conforming use that's already, like you said, the first floor is existing, the garage, the first floor, but the second story is what we're trying to do with the variance here, and then they may have to go to planning commission to get a extension of a non-conforming use,
I'm gonna correct.
if the variance passes today.
You
I'm
were
gonna
mentioning
correct you.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna correct him. The existing garage is within the 20 feet. This red line is the 20 feet. And so the garage currently ends right here,
So if they were doing
from
the
my
yellow-
understanding.
If they were doing the
They're-
yellow part, it'd be fine.
They're doing the second floor in the yellow area. They're adding on a first floor, which is the green, which goes into the 20 feet.
So now is that back part, is that 2 stories as well, or just
No.
1 story?
No, it's just one story.
Okay, so the yellow part's the second story, and then the green part's the first story, which is causing the issue.
Correct.
But it's causing an issue because you said that it's within 10 feet of the structure.
Correct.
Right.
The
The
big
patio
main
is
structure,
within 10
no,
feet
this
of the
big main
structure?
structure that it's being attached to is within 10 feet of the principal building, so the garage is considered part of the principal building.
And so that's let me get it. So that's the 10-foot?
Correct.
Okay.
You bring your own pointer?
I did. My kids were trapped in the weather, and they played with the cat, and it wound up on my briefcase. So
Okay.
it came with me today.
Let's go back to the 10 feet, because okay, you're saying that the garage is within 10 feet of the house.
Correct, so it is considered
Or
part of
the
the
patio is
principal's.
within 10 feet of the house.
Because they're tacking on to the garage.
Because the covered patio to the left, that's what you have circled that says 10 feet, not the garage.
This is what they have circled. This is within 10 feet.
There's not an alley back there?
There's
There's
no
not.
alley.
Nope. And they're fine on the sides.
Correct.
Also on the sides.
Yeah.
Do we,
And they are even fine with the floor area ratio.
Great.
what does the yard behind them look like?
Another house on Algebra.
It's a driveway.
It's a driveway.
It's a
to that
driveway,
house.
okay. So it's not like they're gonna be staring into somebody's bedroom.
Correct.
It's a driveway with a garage. There's no
Right.
windows.
Yeah, that house faces Algebra.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and the applicant and builder are both here today. Do you have more questions?
Anyone have any questions for Ray?
Not yet.
Okay. I'm going to open it up to public comment.
Brody Dobbins.
I'm Brody Dobbins with North Star Construction, represent Jeff today on this. One thing I wanted to argue was the 10-foot separation, if we can go back to that slide there. My understanding is it's wall to wall, and between the actual corner of the garage and that house where the gate connects, it is slightly over 10 feet, and that the intrusion on the 10-foot circle is off that corner to the covered patio, which is an open structure. And functionally isn't much different than a breezeway, which would make this, not fall within that. It's a,
So you're saying the roof corners are 10 foot, but the building corners are not? Is that what you're?
the building corner of the garage, like the front left of the garage, is over 10 feet from the corner of the house that's closest to it. It's further to the left, the corner of the covered patio that is within that 10-foot ring. But there's an exception for open structures to be within that
And the covered patio was there previously?
currently, yes. And I spoke with Mr. Mazur of Mazur Construction, who had done this covered patio. I was asking him about these variances he's gotten in the past, and he remembered working on this, and he stated that, well, the garage is more than 10 feet. And I said, well, it's the covered patio, which he had built not too long ago. And he said, well, there's exclusions for that, to where it's not considered part of attaching to the house. And also of note, he mentioned that on this lot line between, it's on both sides, between Madison and Paseo, and McKenzie and Paseo, this situation with the kind of zero lot line, no alley, that in the past there has been variances granted before, kind of setting precedent on this issue on various other houses, of which I wrote down some addresses, but
Now, the structure on the left side,
yes,
that's attached to the house.
yes, that one
And
is,
that violates the 20-foot.
yes,
So even if this one were exempt because it were far enough away, the other one would still cause the problem, correct?
yes.
Okay.
And also, just as a different kind of circumstances, the house to the rear that is the 1201, it's addressed on Algerita, and that lot line is serving more or less like a side lot line for them, of which the driveway is there and a side pull into the garage. So like you said, it's less intrusive on their lot than if it were to be back-to-back houses. But I guess what I'm arguing is that the pool house should be exempt from the 20-foot setback by a separation because of the open structure. And just for symmetry, we were trying to get a variance on the sunroom, which is basically just an area where to put plants in the wintertime. Any questions?
You have those addresses for the previously granted variances?
He had mentioned a few, and just through looking at satellite, I'd found, 1520 Paseo and 1521 McKenzie. Both appear to be examples of, it's part of the main house. It's not even just attached by a breezeway. It's the house is up on the line, less than 10 feet, closer to 5 on some of those.
Just to advise the board, we have no way of verifying if those do or do
understood.
not have variances. And we know that some structures were built before 2000 in that area, and so we don't have that factual data at this time.
Sure, no, point taken.
Aaron, what was the backyard requirements before zoning laws went into effect in the 50s? They could back it up to the back property line?
Now, is that just a
I would assume that was the case, because if you look at Santa Rita being one of our older neighborhoods, a lot of those accessory buildings were built after World War II, and they were built right on the property lines. Their garages may have been in the back, and they built a second-story apartment structure above that, or in these cases, they're starting to be, the when the retrofits come back in, they're more of the pool accessory structures, things like that. But I would say during the mid-century, we did have a lot of structures built on property lines.
So if they knew, if the 20-foot was in effect back then, they might have pulled the houses closer to the street.
Probably so, probably so. Of course, this development during the 50s, I mean,
Who would know?
that was the design at the time.
Was it
That's
1221?
correct.
There's a lot of front.
1227?
So, but there is restrictions on that. There are building restrictions on that for it to be set back like that.
There are.
Yes, sir. I have a new construction across the street from me, and they had to set it back. And so it leaves your backyard very small.
So the
There could be some deed restrictions in there, I'm not sure.
this particular deed restriction said to set it back that far?
Correct. And I live on Grierson Street, and we have a newer construction within the last 4 or 5 years that has buildings all the way to the back and a swimming pool and something very similar to this. So,
Well, 1221 has a structure all the way back in the corner, yes?
yes.
And those are all attached.
And 1227,
1237.
yeah, 1237 has one all the way. So,
And we did confirm on Friday that neither of those received variances. In fact, one of them didn't even receive building permits. So I would, again,
No.
I hesitate to use aerials to just blanket that, oh, well, look, this one has that one has that. That does not mean they follow the ordinance and the proper process.
right.
What about 1212? Their entire garage is literally on the fence line that
Yeah.
backs up to that same exact driveway that is next door.
It does.
According to the appraisal district, that structure was built in 1924. So
So you weren't here for that, Aaron?
I'm pretty old, but I'm not,
Okay.
According to the,
I wasn't here for that one.
Okay.
Talk about tenure.
If it's to the board's desire for the staff to reevaluate the construction on the right side,
The separation.
the separation, because I think we would give the contractor the ability to come and say, all right, hey, here's the true separation, let's look at that, then that may truly be considered an accessory structure at that point.
we're talking about the covered patio.
Yes, ma'am.
That's
I'm
an
talking
open
about the one
structure.
on the right
Yeah,
side
which
that's
is the garage.
attached to the garage piece. And then maybe we just focus today on the piece on the left to get them an answer on the left. And then we have to maybe table that portion of it if it has to come back, if we're able, if Mr. Dobbins is able to say, no, here's our architectural plans, here's our separation distance. It meets the ordinance for a substantially open structure that's more than 10 feet, or if it's just the walls are truly 10 feet apart, then that becomes an accessory structure, and maybe this discussion for the piece on the right is not valid, because it would probably meet our ordinance today.
So the rule is building wall to building wall, not corner of the roof to corner of the roof.
That is the way we have always treated it, as the opposing walls, the
So even
vertical
if it looked
structure.
that close, if the walls, if you got a 3-foot overhang, there's 6 foot. 3 here and
Potentially,
3
yes,
here.
yes.
That
And I-
would make it appear closer than it actually is.
And I think, to staff's benefit, just looking at the image there, and they see that 10-foot diameter circle, and if you were to measure that and measure the other piece, it would appear that it's less than 10 feet. But again, that doesn't show the vertical walls. So we're happy to reexamine that.
Because then that's completely open, that covered patio.
Because the covered patio doesn't count. We talked
Right,
about
we're not talking about the covered patio. We're just taking that measurement and applying it between the edge of the garage and the edge of the corner of the house. But we don't have enough information to definitively say, yes, it is more than 10 feet at this moment. Our assumption from staff, based on the measurement, given that we use that as a scaled measurement, moved it across, okay, it doesn't appear to be 10 feet. But I think we can work with the contractor, if it truly is 10 feet, that piece may not require a variance.
So if that's 10 feet apart, and the plant storage, the solarium, is truncated to 20 feet to that red line, you don't see us again, right? in theory. Because if the garage is separated 10 feet, that structure would be within, because it's separated from the main structure, it would be within the setbacks.
Correct.
And the solarium, if it were truncated down to the red line, it would be within the setbacks, and you would get your permit and you'll start stalling, right?
Correct.
That is correct. I concur with that. So I'm going to ask legal, is there a way, while we did advertise this as one item that had two items for variance, are they able to take an action on a portion of that without the other portion?
Could we table it and they change it to one little
I mean, we can table it, but the only, I think it ends up
So
delaying, obviously,
So my question
construction
is,
and time frame that they
regardless
have
of what they're
and-
putting there, they're still asking for 10 feet. And it would go along all, correct?
You can
They would
specify
have
that
a
it's just for
10
that
foot.
portion.
Okay.
Say that again?
I was just making a comment. That regardless of what side it is, we are still just saying a 10-foot rear yard setback, regardless of what side it is
I
what they
think
are
the question
asking for.
really is, what's the primary structure and what's an accessory structure in this case? Because the accessory structure will have a different rear yard setback.
Correct.
And so if it's proven that that is an accessory structure on the right side of the property, garage and all of that, then it doesn't matter whether it's a 10-foot or not setback, it goes to the accessory structure setback.
Correct.
And what's the accessory structure?
And the
setback?
accessory
Is it
structure
Right.
setback is,
Usually 5 feet on the rear property line because there's not an alleyway, if I
Correct.
understand.
I'm just saying, on the other side though, regardless of where, it's still, they're
Correct,
asking
the
for 10
primary
foot.
structure, since it's all one structure, would require the 20-foot setback. In this case, they're requesting a 10-foot variance.
Correct.
Anybody else confused? Anybody in the audience confused?
We're gonna have t-shirts.
I'd like to hear from the homeowner, please.
Yes, homeowner.
I know your words are expensive, counselor, but I'm glad you're here with us.
would you
So
please
please
state
come
your
talk
name
to
for the
your
record?
friends.
Jeff Chandler, 1216 Paseo de Vaca. What do you want to hear from me?
Whatever you had prepared prior to, you were on for public comment, or
No,
no?
I was not.
Okay,
So-
you were not.
But I'm
Did I
happy to
mishear
ask
that?
questions, happy to be here. Thank you all for being on this committee and being here. It looks like the precedent's been set. I don't know whether they fully got the permission to do it or not. I can't say that, but at least looking at our houses, they're all set back the same place. And then there's lots of buildings that go back to the back fence. We looked at that to begin with and we didn't even think about the very first, because just looking at the way the others were built and the way they're done. So that's what came up with this. That's how we began this thing. But I think you're correct in that it is open in between there. We go into the patio. I can see why that caused some confusion on the way that just looking at that picture is a little hard to tell. You're just looking at roof lines. Roof lines didn't exactly give you the measurement. And I hear what you're saying about cutting back the sunroom. I don't like the 25-cent word of solarium. That makes it sound way more fancy than what it really is. But that's going to really wonky our backyard. I'm just going to be honest with you. I mean, this is kind of symmetrical, and it is just a side yard behind there. We're not really, messing up anything they've got going on there. We obviously talked to them, looked at them, considered that before we started any of this. All our neighbors on each side are all totally fine with it. It's just,
Mr. Chandler, the pool area, is there a roof over that, is that open?
no, sir, that's open.
So where's your roof line, in here and then over,
Well, you're on it.
that's it, so that right there is gonna be open.
Correct.
So we're just dealing with these two sides, but they have that straight line drawn across there, saying full street.
Yeah, I mean, there's
So we have a
a,
lot of backyard, I guess you could say this.
well, no, don't let that deceive you. That's a tiny backyard.
Yeah, I know it, yeah, okay. But it's all open there where the pool's gonna go.
That kind of where you see where the brick looking pattern is, that would be,
Do you want a pointer?
Man, that'd be awesome. Man,
Absolutely.
so,
Yeah, show
Can you
show
get
what's
the little
gonna be open.
so this part right here is the open.
Yeah, go back.
Okay.
I'm not used to carrying a microphone around. But thank you for that. Thank you for the pointer. So this is the open area.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
And then you're-
This is the,
That's not gonna be covered.
this
That's-
is
that's
patio right here, but it's got no, that's not true. This is open right here. I'm leading you all astray. You walk out, this is open. This is a covered kind of outdoor kitchen area, okay? So this is open, but it's got brick pavers or brick, and that's why this opening up around here and here looks brick, because we wanted to match that with the existing. So that's why it looks, so this is actually open, but it's not grass yard, if that makes sense what I'm saying. And this is the, and that's not gonna be, don't let me mislead you guys either, that's not all brick. We're not gonna brick the whole backyard, so don't get concerned about that. But I know there's concrete ratios and all kinds of stuff y'all look at too, so I'm not saying that, that's just an example, but there's gonna be like pavers and stuff in here, so, yeah. That's a very long-winded way to answer your question, but does that lead you in the right direction?
And then it's grass on the sides and then across the back.
Well,
Is that gonna be
there's
like
a little
playground?
bitty, are you talking over here on the right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's really no man's land back there, I'm just gonna tell you, there's
And then on
like,
the other side too.
right here,
On-
on here, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a little bitty space between, this is our neighbor's yard over here that really, enough to just walk over here and get to the hydrants and then go back to the backyard.
Get your motion out there. Thank you, Counselor. Your words never cease to amaze me.
Oh, yeah, that was an extraordinary performance, I'm telling you. But, well, I would ask you to grant the variance. I would actually ask you to. I mean, it's not anything really out of the ordinary for our neighborhood, and it kind of fits in with everything that's in our neighborhood, and we're gonna up the value of it and the houses around us, I'm sure, too. So, anyway, I would ask you to please strongly consider it. We don't really want to cut off part of make the backyard really not symmetrical. So, and I think there's some others we can look at, quite frankly, we didn't mention that have had variances and that we could absolutely bring that up. And so, anyway, it just seems like that's been the precedence that's been set. And we're asking you to grant the variance. So, thanks everybody for your time.
Thank you.
May I bring this back to you?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Is there any more public comment?
Rocky Templin.
Rocky Templin, single member District 6. The main thing I looked at, I went over there and walked the neighborhood just to see how this conformed. And actually, it looked like it would conform with the neighborhood. Some of them are on the property line, the rear property line. Some of them are 2 foot off, some of them are 5 foot off, and less than 10 foot and connecting to the structures. So whether they were permitted or not permitted or built before 1950, I do not know the answer to that. But as far as conforming with the neighborhood, it looked like it conformed with the neighborhood.
Thank you, Rocky. Any more public comment? All right, I'm going to close public comment. Does the board want to discuss?
So I think one of the beauties of Santa Rita neighborhood is non-conforming, because we're not a cookie cutter neighborhood. And there are a lot of good things that happen, permitted or not. We're not going to discuss that today, but I see no reason not to grant the variances on this property for these improvements to be made. Yes, please.
All right, I have a motion for approval and a second.
I had to go back
Are we,
under
are we saying it
special-
meets one of these three?
I do. I say special circumstances.
Okay.
And that's going to be because of the way these lots are, the way the neighborhood lots, on either side, and the one behind it. That's what I'm basing that on.
So not creating, these things hate me. So not granting not granting the variance would deprive the applicant of the use of the yard, just like the 40 other houses
Correct. Or more.
within baseball throwing distance of
Correct.
that property. Because I'm looking at this map and and I don't know about separations and 10 foot and all that, or when it was built. But that's what you're saying is we would, by denying it, we would deprive them of the
Correct.
use, just like every other.
Correct.
person.
That would be yes, we would be depriving them of that.
Specifically for the zoning district and not for the area, circumstances, unnecessary hardship that deprive the applicant, that generally apply to other property within the same zoning district, not the surrounding immediate area.
That's what we're, but that is
zoning
the,
district.
that is the same zoning district, that is the special circumstance that we have.
So I have a motion and a second to approve the variances. Is there any other discussion?
Can you say one more time who first and who seconded?
I was first.
You first?
Yeah, Terry, I have a motion from Terry and a second from Gary.
Oh, Gary, okay. Thank you, sir.
Terry and Gary, yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is approved, 6-0. Moving on. Item D, ZBA 26-03, 1020 East 19th Street. A request for approval of a variance from Section 501A for a 19-foot setback, front setback in lieu of the required 25 feet for an existing portion of a building within the general heavy commercial CGCH zoning district.
Austin Reed, Senior Planner. This one comes from the Reagan Neighborhood, District Number 3, Harry Thomas's district. The zoning for this block is mostly CGCH. The division plan is commercial. The property measures about 0.3 acres, and this is a request for approval of a 19-foot front setback in lieu of the required 25 feet. So sent out 21 notices on this, did not receive any responses as far as I'm aware. I'll go to I'll go to this first. So what they're trying to do actually is plat their lots, but they were unable to when they came forward with the plat, as there's an existing structure there, and that structure sits too close to its front property line, so they needed a variance before they're actually able to go through with that plat, because we're technically placing a new lot line there. This structure is shown in tax records to be over 50 years old. I think it's an automotive type business. We also notice there's an excessive amount of right-of-way, somewhere around, over 26 feet between the property line and the street. And if you look on that block, there's a few other structures that encroach into their front setbacks. So we were able to identify a few of these things as special circumstances. Here's just a look at their site plan. You can see it's just a small portion of the building that juts out past that 25-foot building line. So with that, we are recommending approval of this variance. Did you guys have any questions?
Any questions for Austin?
When you say replat, what do you mean?
So this, they actually own a couple of the properties here, I believe 1020 and maybe the one to the right of it. Right now, these are technically separate legal lots, and they'd like to join the lots together, more or less to ignore those lot lines or whatever they want to do with the land, I'm not sure, but it cleans it up legally as well. And because when they're going in and doing that, we're technically placing new lot lines. We're putting those new lot lines closer to the building than is typically allowed. So,
Thank you.
Any more questions for Austin?
thank y'all.
We'll open it up to public comment. Is there any public comment?
Good afternoon. I have my,
Do you mind stating your name?
oh, yes, my name is W.E. Williams. I own the property across the street in question. I just recently was handed this like 3 days ago, and from what I had heard whenever I was speaking with the property owner and what his intent was, doesn't give enough information on what was conveyed on the letter, so I'm here for some clarification. As I state, I own the property across the street, approximately 400 plus feet up to the next corner. This is a very busy intersection during the daylight hours, excuse me, especially during high traffic to and from work, to and from school, et cetera. Of an evening, it falls off, but most of this business is during the daylight hours. This already has a cut-through, and as you can tell, part of the property that I am connected to is where the road curves back into Main Street. This is a 5-point intersection, or very close to one. Parts of it, depending on which direction you're going, it really doesn't look like a 5-point, but it is. It is my understanding, whenever the property owner spoke with me, probably 30, 45 days ago, he had told me that he had purchased the property adjacent and that they were going to be building a shop so they could do more of their paint and body work, et cetera. Which is fine. I'm all for any type of improvement and everything there. But whenever the notice came in, it sounded like he was wanting the adjustments just strictly on the existing business. And so what I'm trying to figure out, but I think he answered it, that they're trying to merge adjacent properties in with this, and then that's causing the adjustment of the setback. I question, because of the traffic, et cetera, whether that is a valid justification because of the traffic, the control. It's really a pretty blind intersection at times, and especially at night. You really can't see the traffic traveling east and turning back south on Main Street because of other businesses that are in that area. So I haven't opposed it or in favor of it. I have them here. But I was kind of wanting to hear a little bit more about what y'all's thoughts were. And I don't know that it'll affect my concerns. I don't know that it'll answer my choice of decision. But technically, I'm in favor of any expansions, and this is a pretty tender area, socioeconomical. It's very low on the scale, et cetera. And I just kind of do not really know that how that would justify with the traffic flows, and especially with the other potential expansions that could affect our city. I mean, what it is today may not be what it is 10, 15 years from now, and I don't know that cutting that easement narrower would really benefit traffic patterns for the future. So that's kind of my main concerns.
So are you on this map?
Yes.
You and the properties of all.
Yes, I own the property. Yes, those.
1021 or 1023, 1029?
Yes.
It's the whole block.
That's that little center.
And here's something else that's a little bit, what's on the right of the screen, basically the arc, that is considered commercial. Those other 5 lots to the east, to the west, are classified in the tax office, the zoning office as residential.
So like 1014, 10, those.
Now, to be honest with you, 1014, I believe, is a small shop. The 1004.
Those are all, I think they're general heavy commercial, all that whole block across the street. And yours is, according to
It's on
this,
the south side of that.
neighborhood commercial.
I'm sorry?
Yours is neighborhood commercial, I believe.
Mine's neighborhood commercial for the 4 lots on the east side. The 5 lots on the west side are considered residential.
Okay. Okay.
And there's no structures on them at this time.
So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
And this is general heavy.
Do we have that map to display on our screen?
Not on the screen, they're looking at it in the staff reports right now, but I don't have that to share, I apologize.
But the gentleman's question is, well, this really is just the variance for the setback for
Yes.
that front structure?
Yes. I'm not really sure that that's conducive to the traffic pattern.
Correct, that would come
For
on
the
the,
majority of the
that would be the subdivision plat that would come next, which I know that they are planning to submit, and that would go to our planning commission. That's usually heard on the 3rd Mondays of the month. That will be coming up probably this month if they do submit that. I think it's going to be the 4th Monday because there's a holiday on the 3rd Monday. But if you want to leave your information with one of our staff members, we'd be happy to get that information to you when we go through that process.
Okay, I was fixing to ask, will y'all be mailed out notifications similar to this for that?
We don't on subdivision plats, they're not required by the state.
Okay.
But we would make sure that we just send you an email that a plat has been submitted.
Okay.
That's when the city evaluates for infrastructure of roadways, water, sewer, drainage, those types of things.
Okay, all right. Sounds good. Do I need to go ahead and submit my stuff before I step over, or are there other people that are speaking? I don't know.
I think so.
We can talk to you
I think so.
afterwards. We have your information here, but I can talk to you afterwards as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
Blake will do.
Good morning, my name is Blake with Wilde Engineering and Surveying. We just represent the owner here. Like I say, they're just looking to plat. They bought the 2 lots to the east, and they're just looking to make expansions to the business and just have to clean up a clerical issue with the front setback. So this is the first step, is to just clean up that front setback from that small portion of the office that's right there. It was constructed 70s, 80s, not sure. There's not any building records on it, so any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Blake?
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Any more public comment?
One more.
Rocky.
Rocky.
He's very talkative today.
Rocky Templin, single member District 6. I think the current owner is really trying to bring this property up. I've done business with the previous 3 owners, and even 2 of those properties, or several of those properties, 1004, I think, and 1034, are all closer to the right-of-way than this current property. And I do believe that Mr. Shirley did come forward and say that this property was permitted and had the permit, even though the city didn't have that information, he had that information.
Yes.
Thank you, Rocky. Any more public comment? I'm going to close public comment.
I'm going to make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
I have a motion from Terry, a second from Mason. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 6-0. Next, ZBA 26-04, 302-326, Lakeview Heroes Drive, a request for approval of a variance from section 501A for a 20-foot front setback on Lakeview Heroes Drive in lieu of the required 25-foot and 23-foot front setback on Travis Street in lieu of the required 25 feet for new residences within the single-family residential RS1 zoning district.
Good afternoon, Arden, planner. Today, we have a case coming, as you mentioned, for a request of a 20-foot and 23-foot front setback on Lakeview Heroes and Travis Street respectively. This recently went for a plat. This was part of the Saddle Creek Park Addition plat that went before Planning Commission, and now it's back to come for a zoning board of adjustment variance. This is in the Lakeview neighborhood, Joe Self's district. Vision plan continues to be neighborhood, and right now it's 0.84 acres, and it was just replatted into 7 lots. So we did mail out notices. I had to accommodate for all of these pretty quickly. A lot of these came in today. We have one that was ruled in favor, and of the 22, 6 were opposed. None that I think have signed up for public comment today, but they had very similar sightings. Predominantly, they were worried about flood runoff.
Oh, okay, I was about to say food runoff.
Flood runoff, and additionally, they were concerned about traffic, walkability for the students going to the school across the street, and green space for bumping up that front setback the 5 feet. So here is a concept plan. This is the plat that was submitted. For context, I will explain a little bit more on the analysis slide, but these lots first came to you guys for a variance for lot depth. So they are not fully 100 feet in depth. They have a 99-foot long lot. And in addition, up above, you can see it just barely. There's mention here of an unpaved alley, which was absorbed by the property owners to the north. So originally, this was a property that had an alley behind it, similarly to the properties to the west. But it had since been dissolved, and these properties cannot front onto Lakeview Heroes Drive because of its street status as an arterial road. So when they submitted that plat, they needed to dedicate a 20-foot private easement at the back of each of those 7 lots. That way they could access off of Travis Street. So that's shown up here. This is their 20-foot access easement that each of these 7 lots has shown on their properties. So as staff was looking at this, we're seeing that the issue came up while trying to meet minimum parking requirements for each of the 7 lots. We require 2 9x18 parking spaces for each dwelling unit, and they were struggling to fit that while also dedicating that 20-foot rear access easement and maintaining maneuvering space. Since the street in front is an arterial street and we do not permit approaches off of that street, they require that rear access easement. There's nearly 25 total feet of right-of-way between the property line and the street. So that would be in addition to the 20-foot setback that we would be granting today. So it's a difference between 45 feet of street of distance from curb to house as opposed to 45 versus 50. Staff believes that the existing 25-foot setbacks prevent the applicant from taking advantage of buildable space that other properties are allowed to use in the RS1 zoning district. Based on minimum lot size, you are allowed to build a 2,200 square foot home, and that is not possible on this lot when meeting parking requirements and also dedicating the 20-foot rear alley or rear access easement. So for those reasons, staff recognize special circumstances, and we are recommending approval of the variances for the 20-foot and 23-foot respective front setbacks. Are there any questions for staff?
What are the setbacks on the side setbacks?
Currently, they have 5-foot side setbacks, 20-foot rear setbacks, 25-foot front, with the exception being that over here on this corner, this is a double frontage lot, causing 2 25-foot front setbacks. So they are asking for a 20-foot front setback on all 7 properties and 1 singular 23-foot front setback for that property that fronts onto Travis.
For 50/20?
When you said they absorbed the alley, did they just put a fence up and say, ha, it's mine?
It was abandoned and then bought, and
Purchase it.
Okay,
yes.
because there's an alley across that street.
Yes.
It's actually abandoned as well. It still shows as an alleyway in the Caliche, and they probably still functions that way, but technically it's not a public alleyway.
Okay.
Yeah, we
It's
can
all
see this
private.
blue
That
line.
whole development abandoned the alleyway thought process,
Okay.
which impacted this property.
I also wanted to make note, this wasn't specifically in my presentation, but because so many people came forward with concerns about flood runoff, let me get off of the food runoff slide.
Don't worry
You're
about it.
making me
That's
hungry.
bad too. Yeah.
Arden, I would be concerned if my food was running off also, so point taken.
What
There
are they
were a few points I wanted to bring up to clarify that staff is looking at issues like that. This property is nearly 3,500 feet from any mention of floodplain in our maps that we recognize with the city. That's how the city accepts floodplain development permits and tries to mitigate issues with flood runoff. We also have requirements about drainage studies, but those are activated for properties over an acre. And as mentioned before, this is 0.8 acres. So if this was respectively platted and they had found a way to meet minimum parking requirements, they do have the ability to build as allowed by right on this lot. There is not an existing drainage study requirement, whether it be platted into 6 lots or 7. But with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Let's have go back to the slide that shows all the lots, please.
That one.
No, the previous, I think.
Oh, all of them?
Yeah, okay. So the properties that were built across on the other side of Travis, what were they, how are they set up? Those right there, yep. Did we have to, I don't remember going through this process, but.
I know
we have.
that a point of contention here, I see him turning his mic on, is that
Okay,
they were,
Aaron?
Or trying to desperately.
they were granted access off of an arterial street. Approaches were given, whereas our standing ordinance is that we do not allow approaches to be granted off of the Lakeview Heroes Drive because of its street classification. So our ordinance prevents us from granting approach permits, and it is not a variable request.
So all those houses that direction have front driveways?
Right, they all have front driveways, and so their backyards meet the minimum setback of 20 feet. And if you go to when she goes back to the site plan, you'll see that there's that easement for the driveways, if you will, and then, or the access, and then you have that driveway. And these structures do not have a garage. And so for them to meet the parking requirements, it's advantageous to move these structures to the front. They have lots of right-of-way. It's unlikely the front yard's going to be utilized in a very high capacity way. This part of Lakeview Heroes Drive is an arterial, so our subdivision ordinance doesn't allow access. I don't know if past the intersection to the west, if it's still an arterial, it may be classified as a different street, and that may be why they were given access to the front, or maybe it just, they were built at a time that our subdivision ordinance didn't mention the arterial access.
So the access to the driveways on the rear, is that access where the alley would have been, or is it this side of where the alley?
It's on this, on their property, because if you notice, it's hard to tell, but behind that red line is where the alleyway would have been.
Right.
Now that alleyway's not there for these properties to utilize it, so they've had to essentially create their own private alley on their lots, which is taking up some property space, and to actually pull your vehicle in and to have the right space and maneuvering space. This is the easiest variance, is to move the houses up, and I'm gonna say 5 feet, is that right?
Yes,
They're moving
20
them up
foot
5
inland.
feet. Instead of having 25-foot front yards, they're gonna have 20-foot front yards on their private land, and then there's still additional right-of-way in front of that.
Because they're using 20 foot of their lot space already for.
Correct.
To replace the alley that used to be there that's not there anymore.
That is
Yes.
correct.
So, yes, they're using their own personal property for that.
That is correct.
And so these don't have garages, do they have a carport, or is it uncovered parking?
As of right now, it's uncovered, but they would be eligible for covered parking back there. If they had something that was an open structure, it probably would still work. The hard part is your turning radius, turning into that if you have a
Correct.
carport. I mean,
Yeah.
so, but as their proposal is right now, there are no carports at this time.
Okay. And then question for you, there was, what'd you say, 6 in opposition?
Yes.
What was the reasoning behind those?
Right, the reasoning predominantly was the flood runoff.
Food
Um,
runoff.
But then
Okay.
additionally, they were talking about traffic concerns. They were worried that this would increase traffic on Lakeview Heroes Drive. They were worried about the loss of green space and pushing the lots up the 5 feet. And they were worried about children being able to walk to the nearby school.
Okay.
I would also like to note, just a little bit of a second hand, you can see it a little bit here. There are sidewalks installed on Lakeview Heroes Drive, and there is a standing requirement for sidewalks off of Travis Street, specifically due to the proximity to a school. And these are currently built, the sidewalk off of Lakeview Heroes Drive.
The green space was a vacant lot. So.
Right. Any more
Thank
questions
you.
for Arden?
Yeah, Arden, how long have you been a part of the team?
2 days. No, it's,
Today.
I think it's about 8 months now. Been a
Gotcha.
planner for maybe 4 or 5.
Well, I don't care what
Welcome
Austin
aboard.
says. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Good job.
We'll open it up for public comment. Is there any public comment? Oh, Blake is coming up.
Good morning, my name is Blake with Will Engineering and Surveying. We're just here to ask for the variance. It's been pretty difficult to fit some houses and make these lots to where they're buildable. And so we finally got a solution here. The biggest challenge we had to overcome was not having that driveway access from an arterial on to Lakeview Hero. So trying to get really creative in ways to make these buildable lots for Angelo. So that's kind of what we've arrived at, is what you see here. And just, if y'all have any questions or concerns, we'd be happy to answer them, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Blake. Any more public comment?
Nikki?
Hello, I'm the resident at 521 Mimosa Drive. It's that corner.
Pull that, slide it.
It's a corner lot.
502, 522?
521.
521, okay, behind it.
And I purchased it about 4 years ago with the understanding that me and my neighbors on that same road owned part of that easement, along with the side easement to the, where the vacant property is to the right of my house. There's also an easement there. And I understood that I'm paying taxes for that along with the easement behind my house. I'm hearing today that I guess we're paying property taxes on that even though we don't own it. And I guess I'm confused about that. The other part is, to build 7 houses on that lot that looks like it should maybe house 6 houses, trying to crunch all that in there, when you're talking about lack of space for driving space, you're taking away my back alley, but also more traffic for 7 homes, saying that there's nowhere to park. Maybe take out a couple of those houses that you want to build and create parking in between the houses than to take away from the existing property owners there. And the other part is, if you haven't experienced that flood that we went through, I've got neighbors here that did, and it was indescribable. To downgrade that to its minimum was not. The lady that lives on the corner opposite, her house was flooded. She didn't get assistance. She didn't ask for it because she felt like she didn't want to take from other people. Now we're taking away the green space there, and to say it's not in a flood zone, it's not accurate. It flooded, So with that being said, this is not a minor issue for me and my neighbors. This is a major issue, and it's not about money. It's about how we're going to survive if this thing happens again. We're already dealing with poor water drain off, and now you're adding 7 houses there. And I don't know how each one of those are going to be 2,000 square feet. So I don't know what the solution is. I just know this isn't workable for our neighbors. Also, with the appraisal part of it, I don't know, squeezing 7 properties in that area, I don't know if it's going to depreciate or appreciate. I don't see it being appreciative. And I do see it's a lot more traffic in that area. They're building up their property there, which is going to have runoff to myself and my neighbors' backyards and back property. We did not flood in that area, that neighborhood, but 90% of us around neighbors did. And we're still seeing people catastrophic. When you're driving through and you're seeing in the evening these people's homes, they have no walls. They have electrical hanging down from their roofs, and they're still dealing with that. So I do implore that you do take this into account when to approve or not approve. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment?
Rocky, if you wanted to speak.
Rocky Templin, single member District 6. I think this is one of those that got through planning. It probably should have been caught when it went through planning. Instead, it didn't. But we've been working on the subdivision ordinance. This is going to be a prime example of where we're looking at changing front setbacks where we have large right-of-ways. Because there's no reason to have 40 foot, 45 foot in somebody's front yard and then make them set back another 20 or 25 feet when it's never going to be used. Prime example is my house. I have 17 and a half feet of right-of-way in my front yard, and my street beside me is already 90 feet wide. They're never going to increase the street. So this is one of those I think should have been caught a while back and we wouldn't be here. Thank you.
So you're saying there's excess right-of-way there? There's too much right-of-way? Yes. On the front, facing Heroes Drive? Is that where the right-of-way is?
Yes, and you can't change that. So if you had a 40-foot or a 50-foot right-of-way, we're going to see 20 and 25-foot setbacks. But if you have a 100-foot right-of-way, then you don't need to have that large a setback, even especially with not having driveways on the front.
What is the right-of-way here? Do you know?
20.
It's 100 foot, I believe.
107 feet across the entire area.
Yeah.
But
On their side, from curb to their property line is 21 feet.
Oh my goodness, almost a setback. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, Rocky, would you address the flooding issues on how that goes, that the building permit department, the inspectors go out there and the finished floors on the houses supposed to be, what, 15 inches above the curb and gutter, or, I can't remember its reason.
8 inches above top of curb.
Top of curb? Okay.
Yes.
And if there's not a curb, it's just the gutters at 15, something like this?
I think it's still, even if it's a lay-down curb, it's still 8 inches.
Okay, 8 inches above the curb?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so a lot of the houses that flooded, we don't know, might not have been that high.
Yeah, whatever they decided that was, what, a 500-year event?
Yeah.
And so, nobody could have predicted that, or, the Coliseum had, I believe, had 8.5 feet of water inside it.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you, Rocky.
Any more public comment? Okay. We'll close public comment and open it up for us to discuss, or a motion. You just don't want to talk today, huh?
He keeps turning me off, yeah. So my question is, going back, if you'll go to the plat, please, ma'am. Okay. That 16, 18, I can't read the number.
On the back?
Across the back.
20.
Yes, ma'am.
That's 16 foot.
16 foot. Who owns that currently?
That is the property owner that's doing it under development. When they sell each of those lots, it will go to the property owner of that lot, but there
Okay.
is a perpetual easement, an access easement for that, for those property owners. It's a private easement for
So
those
I want
property owners.
you to clarify that that is not part of the old alleyway that other people are paying taxes on.
That is correct. That property is actually to the north of this.
Okay.
And the property that she mentioned there in the corner, that alleyway actually curved all the way around that property and to the east side and went up to the next one. And so that's probably the piece that she's talking about. It's not actually across the fence. It's within their property according to the GIS maps. But she should go down and talk with the appraisal district to make sure that everything is labeled out right and take a survey with her.
Okay,
So
I
that's
just
where-
wanted you to know, Dee, that you're not, that you still own your alleyway behind your house and to the side of your house, and this is actually part of that green space right now that belongs to whomever the property owner is, and they're going to use that 16-foot for the drive variant, or the driveway to go to those properties.
Because she would still own between that solid line and those dotted lines, correct?
Yes, to the north, yes, that is
That's-
correct.
That's where the alley that doesn't exist anymore still exists, sort of?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
And so, what are the size of these houses? I'm just asking for a friend.
These houses are 1,300 square feet currently.
3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Okay.
That's a wonderful question.
3-bedroom, 2-bath. Yeah, 1,300 square feet. Mrs. Rubik is the builder.
Excuse me, the houses that they're building, you also, there's going to be 7 houses?
That is correct.
How many are in the back,
Behind them?
behind them?
3.
How many?
3.
3 only?
521, 513, and that 501 looks like 2 lots.
There's more lots.
Is that an empty lot next to 501? So there's only,
That's just a big old house.
Many of the property owners actually own 2 platted lots back there. There's actually 6 platted lots, as opposed to the property in the front will have 7 platted lots. They just happen to own, some of them own multiple lots, which is okay. I mean, that's allowed.
Absolutely.
The size of those lots that we're talking about, how do they compare to the size of the lots to the west? The blue ones, they're marked there just to the left?
260 and 256.
Are they roughly the same size?
Yes. I think that these are 50-foot wide lots. The predominant difference, I'm not sure if these had a variance for their lot length, but the only standing difference between this and a minimum sized lot that we allow in RS1 would be the 1 foot that you guys granted them on lot length, 50 by 99.
Okay.
I'm going to make a motion to approve as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Terry and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Passes 6-0. All right, division report.
Yes, Chairwoman. Wanted to just to mention that coming up this next ZBA meeting, I will be bringing some items forward, as y'all have heard about a little bit about subdivision ordinance and zoning ordinance adjustments that we're looking at doing some revisions, particularly when it comes to lot sizes and some of these setbacks that even Mr. Templin mentioned. We want to make sure y'all are understanding what we're going to bring forward to Planning Commission and to the City Council. One of those items is the double frontage item that Mr. Young has talked about, and we've had lots of variances on those. So we're trying to write it to where we can cut down on the volume of variances for those and still provide safety for property owners and people that are driving on the streets and walking and those types of things. And so we're also doing just a few other minor things that are trying to create some new zoning ordinances to help with some of the density in smaller areas like that. Another idea that has come forth, it's actually come from the Santa Rita neighborhood, of doing a conservancy district that would, even as y'all made that decision today, would talk about the form of the neighborhood, that it would allow it to keep that form and might allow some of the variances kind of go away, that we wouldn't have to go through the variance process because of its a big established neighborhood and it has developed in a certain way. It's different than a historic district. It is not saying you must build with X number of windows or a certain construction type or things like that, but it conserves the neighborhood. So that's an idea. It hasn't gone anywhere quite yet, but at least it's something to be thinking about. I think some of those folks are thinking about if we continue to look at our housing study that says everywhere should have an accessory dwelling unit and everywhere should have RS2 instead of RS1, meaning you could always have a duplex or something. I'm not sure San Angelo is that community, number one. And number two, I believe there are neighborhoods that truly believe they're not that neighborhood either. And so how do we help those neighborhoods before we put any blankets out there over the whole community? How do we look at supporting some of our neighborhoods and finding the right places for those types of ordinances? So some of those may be longer term, 2-3 year things with more evaluation. The things that I'll try to bring forward is that our staff team is working on is really some Band-Aids to try to help alleviate some variances, but also spur some development in some of the areas that maybe we've sold a lot of infill lots, but some of the infill lots just don't work anymore. And so is there a way to do a smaller infill lot? Again, some of the comments today being about traffic, circulation, how's that water runoff going to be? Those are all valid comments to be looking at when we change lot sizes, but it's a great opportunity for us to look at those. So we're going to have some presentations on some of those things, as well as floor area ratio. We talked about that as a staff group and reached out some other cities, and that's really a thing of the past. If you've got your setbacks and your height restrictions, why do you also need a floor area ratio? And so that might be ways to allow some more remodel development and things like that as we move forward. So hope to bring that back this next month. I hope. That's March, right? Right, March. Today's February. All right. Well, Chairwoman, that's all I have.
And
thank you, Aaron.
Excuse me, I want to introduce our new planning tech. Daniel is back there. If he wants to wave, you'll see his face a little bit more. So I just wanted to introduce him.
Well, welcome, Daniel. All right. The next regular meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustments is scheduled for March the 2nd in this room right here, the East Mezzanine Meeting Room at City Hall. No, we just did the follow-up on.
We did division report.
Do we have any administrative issues? That's what we added. Not yet.
No, ma'am, unless y'all have something that you want the city staff to consider and bring forward in the next few months.
Anything?
That would affect the Zoning Board of Adjustment.
No, I just wanted to see if they did.
More alternates. More alternates.
More alternates, yes. Talk to your city council member that appointed you
I
and
think we may have an alternate now.
ask them.
We don't need an alternate, we need a person first.
A full
We need a full
Oh, sure,
person.
good point, good point.
I do know that there
Yes,
is
good
a
point.
person to be appointed tomorrow at city council, so
Okay.
there's a potential that they will be appointed before the March meeting. But I do agree that we do need alternates.
But that would still bring us back to 6. No, in theory.
I think you're right. I think we still have a vacancy
We have 2
after that.
vacancies, but
I think that's
we have
correct.
someone that can fill in for a little bit.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Well, if that's everything, then do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion, or meeting adjourned.